on this nice day, where Nat Nakasa, the journalist, which was a journalist which did so many things. So thank you for this opportunity. Kakhulukazi mina ngizokhuluma ngama-learning disabilities ukuthi ngempela when it comes to abantu abakhubazekile ama-journalist awawenzi okuningi ngempela, whereas they are supposed to be focusing futhi nathi njengabantu abanama-challenges ngaphandle emphakathini, because siyazi ukuthi-ke i-media iy'thuluzi la singakwazi ngempela ukuthi sikwazi ukukhuluma sizwakale njengabantu ezweni iy'nkinga esibhekene nazo ey'hlukahlukene njengabantu abaney'ngqinamba ezahlukahlukene njengokukhubazeka in general. Mina kakhulukazi ngizokhuluma ngama-learning disabilities nge-dyslexia, which is it's a learning disability where umuntu awazi ukufunda, awazi ukubhala, because now I'm one of those persons abanalo learning disability which is called dyslexia, which is well known kwamanye amazwe, foreign countries, UK, United States of Nations, and Canada. So sizobhekelela ukuthi wherever when you get abantu abanama-learning barriers sibathola ukuthi they are within our mainstream schools, we identify them as a society, because we run an organization which is called Velanjabulo organization, which is focusing on mainstreaming these learners and rehabilitating them ngoba sibona iy'nkinga zabo ababhekene nazo kwi-society, because we know for a fact ukuthi whenever you are disabled, you are a person which is put aside, but we are coming across from that side, but we want to eliminate that stigma which is affecting society, because we feel that we do not have a broader voice. But as singabantu who are standing up, they are well treated. About opportunities wherever they need to be, because we need a voice, a stronger voice, as there's nothing about us without us. Still me saying that at this time things are happening with us. Society, let us stand out, let us speak our minds, our thoughts, our visions, because we are visionaries at the same time. Who else we can change our lives to be better as people, persons with disability. So more or less we are saying that ama-learning disabilities are sectorial society, because we find that disability we've got persons who are blind, who are deaf, who are on wheelchairs, who are physically challenged, who are deaf, who've got cerebral palsy. There are various disabilities, but now we focus on persons with learning disabilities. So Mundo is struggling to read and write. We've got persons who are like Harry Perry, who cannot read and write, Tom Cruise, Ruby Goldberg, Virgin Active. Those are all persons with learning disabilities who have made it in their life. Whereas we are also saying this as a society, that we are coming up trying to see that how best could we stand up and have a voice, whereas as persons with learning disabilities we can be also mainstreamed in the society, we can be heard as persons with disability. So we are saying that we are coming from that plight. Thank you very much.
Journalists today, are they doing it right? So njengoba seke bachaza abanye bethu mhlambe ke uqondane ngokwenhlanhla ukuthi ke next iqali kakhulukazi ngephuzu elithinta ilokhuzana lemedia. But mina ngikucabangayo kubalekile mhlambe imedia njengoba seke nasho should play that pivotal role in terms of educating ngabantu abaphila nokukhubazeka. So they should develop that culture, but inculcate that culture in terms of ilokhuzana igudi akakhuluma ngayo ekutheni and create a mindset around abantu abakhubazekile abaphila nokukhubazeka. So ke okwami ngitheme ngibhala la phansi before ngize la kwenzeni a presentation kuhambe kanje. I think journalists today are doing extremely well in terms of keeping the society fully informed with what is happening toward the world. That thanks to the latest modern innovation in the form of internet and social media services. With these tools at their disposal, communities in all walks of life throughout the globe are able to access and utilize information cascaded to them by the media industry through print and electronic media to their fullest advantage. I think it will be unfair to compare both the old day and the modern day media, because both eras operate in what is significantly a world of difference in terms of resources and periods. But in what journalism as a career has a very significant role to play in shaping the future of our society in terms of education going forward. So I think it is important not only mhlambe ukuthini but ke into esivelayo la ukuthi mina ngikubona journalism or media as a whole should play a pivotal role in terms of creating awareness, creating education around this thorny issue yabantu abaphila ngokukhubazeka. That fundamental change in attitude, that paradigm shift can help change ilokhuzana thina abantu esinjoba ikachaza omunye ubhudi la ukuthi nesinokukhubazeka lokhuzana ukuthi sibavuya kanjani abantu abaphila ngokukhubazeka.
Warm greetings to everyone. My name is Mthetele Mchilo. I'm talking about apartheid and the lives lost during apartheid. Apartheid is derived from the Afrikaans language, which simply means apartheid, and it was a system of racial segregation in South Africa, enforced through legislation by the National Party government, the ruling party from 1948 to 1994, under which rights association and the movement of the majority black inhabitants were curtailed by Afrikaans minority rule was maintained. Many lives were lost during the apartheid era, as certain ethnic groups were not allowed in some areas of their own land of birth, which resulted in some instances, some had to endure the pain of detainment, and others even being hanged to death. I can also recall a personal incident which happened in 1991 while I was still at school, where one of my schoolmates was brutally murdered by the police because he had the resemblance of someone else whom the police were looking for. But after they've killed the little boy, the very same person they were looking for was working for the district magistrate's court as an administrative clerk, and it was very, very sad, the pain they've caused to the family. And apartheid really affected many people, as we have seen in the past few months, the reparation of the remains of the Nat Nakasa, who was denied an opportunity, who was offered a scholarship but was denied an opportunity to go and further his journalistic studies abroad, which would have helped him to explore and cascade more information to the people about the apartheid system. And it is for this reason that Dr. Nelson Mandela once said in his autobiography that there is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shade of death again and again before we reach the mountain top of our destination. And I can simply say apartheid really caused so many unhealed wounds, because there are so many families who lost their loved ones and they don't know where they were buried, or they are still alive and they are still waiting for an opportunity to be given for their families to be returned home. As we all know that for us to get closure that one of your family member is no longer with you, you need to bury him in a more dignified manner. I thank you.
I'll be sharing briefly about Tazana Nathaniel Nakasa. Nakasa, maybe some of us who have heard about him, we know also because some of the things have been published for the community. Preceding his death, I know for the fact that this man was a journalist and he was a very successful writer and worked for the most circulated black news magazine. He was also serving as the first black columnist at a prominent newspaper for whites. So that alone, I think, if you can go back during those times when they lived, that meant a lot to him, because for a black person to work with whites or to study in a white school was something very, very big for a black person. I think these heroes like Nakasa, Dr. Nelson Mandela, Steve Biko and others, I can call them heroes because they refused to be changed and think in a Eurocentric way. Because when white people came here, they wanted to change our mindset and the way we think and implant in a Eurocentric way. Because the fact that when a man is working with white people, you know, somewhere, somehow we've been brainwashed that as if white people are always right, superior, or superior. And that thing, I think there's a lot that we need to unlearn before we learn. Because for you to teach someone, it's better to teach someone who hasn't learned anything. But for someone who thinks he knows or she knows, that person needs to unlearn first before you introduce a new criteria of learning. So people like Nat Nakasa, they failed to subscribe under that regime of apartheid. Hence, he left South Africa. We know he left for the States and he was denied a return. And he found himself wandering on the streets because he was a stateless man, hopeless. He was denied the return to South Africa. He was also denied citizenship in America. And all those things, I think, because he failed to accept failure. There's a great man I've read about in Nigeria. His name was Onkonko. If you read the book, it's called Things Fall Apart. That man refused, actually. He had the fear of being a failure, and he ended up killing himself. He didn't kill himself because of certain reasons or circumstances around him, but the fact that he was fearing of being called a failure, he killed himself. I think Nakasa also was a very strong man when it comes to that, because he couldn't accept that he's hopeless, he's wandering on the streets, because it's like he lost his identity. And we know, all of us, if you lose your identity, it's all like it's done with you. So I would love to learn something from this hero. In Zulu they say, Ziohambi Nzizo, Zosalibo. We'll always remember them because they are our heroes. I thank you. Let me
Seated before you is Mr. Sibusiso Tony Pukwabi. Or seated before you is Mr. Sibusiso Tony Pukwabi. Well, I would also like to focus on the life of Nat Nakasa. And the point or the angle I wish to come at really is not the whole story, because everyone has read the thing. I also tried to read the book, some part of his biography. But the point I'm trying to convey, the message I wish to convey across, is that what was his philosophy? That's why I chose the theme, because I think I also share the same philosophy. I believe for me, Nakasa was the youngest Buddha. If I would define what the Buddha is someone who is enlightened, someone who is awakened, conscious of the environment that he is in. So I think the apartheid regime was fearful of guys like Nakasa, because, I mean, Nakasa lived a life beyond racial boundaries. I read in a book, it says he would have white girlfriends, and he would share like some ideas and some way of thinking with the white people. Unlike us, when we look at white people, we see them as enemies. I mean, each and every one of us, I think that's where I think even the white man is wrong. They see a black man and they see someone who is useless, while we also have something that we can trade with them. In life, I believe there is a balance. So Nakasa saw that balance, and then he was enlightened. Unlike other apartheid heroes, he didn't fight physically. He showed that no, we can cross the boundary, the racial boundary. There is nothing, we all are human. I think that's what he was trying to address, that we all are human, and then we need to look beyond the racial boundary. And then if we can look beyond that, I'm sure we can meet somewhere and there is a balance. We all can learn from one another. We all can try like knowledge, intelligence. So I think that kind of life, if we can all approach life like that, if we can all sort of engage in that way of thinking, we can create a South Africa that would move forward. Because I mean, we've passed that stage now of saying this person is black, this person is white, we all are human. And I think the life of Nakasa, because he was like Jesus Christ, for me, even if he killed himself, I don't know, but he was someone who sacrificed his own life to share what really a future, bright future of a black South African should be. I mean, I would give credit to most, I would say, Indians, because I don't know if that's the right way to say, but Indians, when you look at their hero, Mahatma Gandhi, the philosophies he fought for, I mean, they have taken those philosophies. When you look at their economic platforms, the way they engage in economics, businesses, it's the way that, because they came here in South Africa, came in to work at sugarcane mills, and then, but look at them now. I mean, if we black people, I say black because we always want to complain. If we can stop complaining and approach life in an enlightened manner, awakened and conscious of the whole environment, we can also benefit, because our government is giving us so many opportunities, but the only thing we ever do is to complain. So the life of Nakasa, the youngest enlightened Buddha. That's the philosophy I share.
Ngumlungisi uNtombela kaZulu. Ngifunda ke lenkondlo ebhalwa umfowethu Bonke laphaya. Ithi akekho oyazi ukuzalwa kwami. Akekho oyazi ukuzalwa kwami. Ngisho nabazali bami babengazi ngempilo yami. Into engiyibongayo ukuthi ngisaphila ebunzimeni bami, akekho noyedwa oyazi ukuthi ngizokwazi ukuzimela. Yebo, kunzima ukukhula ngaphandle kwabazali. Kodwa mina ngabeka umdali wami ukuthi aphathe impilo yami. Engekho nonendaba nami, kwathi ukudlula kwabazali bami ngavuleka amehlo. Kwaqala kubanzima lapho ngizimela, ngizamela mina ukuthi ngiphathe kanjani, ngiphila kanjani kulomhlaba. Yebo, kunzima ukuphila uma uwedwa kulomhlaba esiphila kuwo. Abaningi bakhetha ukuzibulala. Uchaza ukuthi awukwazi ukubhekana nesimo kusona wena. Wenza sengathi kuzoba lula kulomhlaba. Ukuba impilo inzima, kanti kufanele uzitshele ukuthi izinkinga ezikhona noma kanjani uzophumelela kulomhlaba. Abaningi badlule kuzona izinkinga zabo, abazange bethi angibuye emuva ngoba kukude lapho engiphuma khona lempilo yami. I thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prelude. To celebrate the life of Nat Nakasa, I would like to speak about journalism. According to my knowledge, I know journalism is the activity of writing and combining information for the broadcasting media. I would say, like journalism, when you are a student, it is the right time for you to take a journalism as a career, to be a journalist. I think it is good at this day of these diverse people, diverse students from different cultures, and who practices everything that can be done out there to spread these news to be broadcasted. So I love journalism because it exposes more criminal practices. It exposes things that is unlawful in communities. For example, when someone did something unlawful, a journalist can take that information to be broadcasted, and that someone should be taken to jail after prosecution. In that way, the world gonna be saved. I would encourage youngsters to to take journalism as a career, because it's kind of a job, a good job, and without a media or a journalism, it would be just plain gossip or just advertisement on TV. It can't be something that is true, because without journalism collecting this true information, we can't go nowhere. So I encourage people to take journalism as a career. Journalism, we save the world. Thank you.
My name is Nat Nakasa, and well, I love storytelling first of all. You know, I've touched base on like different angles of like storytelling. You understand there's business in journalism. You know, that is happening even today. People work according to how they have to bring ends meet. And then there's storytelling, you know. That's a movement of lovers, you know. And storytelling is told by experience, you know. The good thing about Nakasa is that he was able to kind of like spend some time within, you know, like I say, elaborate his experience, you know, within his naked eyes, you know. And storytellers are meant to tell us, storytellers actually are meant to be people that would be able to lead us through their experience, you see. Now, stepping on journalism, it's a good thing that there's journalists. And it's like I really respect journalism, because first of all, journalists, what they do, they risk and go tell stories that are untold, either way, you see. But anyways, like as in, there are times where it comes to a point where they tweet whatever that they could so that they can like they can get everyone's attention and everything like that, you see. But I love the braveness about it, you see. So generically, I would just say that I applaud to people like Nakasa that would just be able to kind of take that risk, spend their time elaborating and changing South Africa, you know. I think I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay.
Otrinobumelelo Dlamini, and I stay at Hammersdale. Hammersdale, yes. I've chosen a topic that goes by journalists, are they doing it right? Okay, so the point that I will be touching on will be on the attributes and the qualities, I mean, journalists should have. Okay. Journalists ought to excel, exceed, and excite. Okay, they also should have wisdom, discretion, prudence, and goodness. Okay. Since I'll be short, I will just say that I'm a journalist should measure, I mean, the qualities or the skills through these levels of the journalist that you should have. Like what's here? It says that a mediocre journalist tells, a good journalist explains, a great journalist demonstrates, and a best journalist inspires. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to talk about media. Media in our days fail us to inform us. Not that fail to inform disabled people, but both us fails. Because most of the times focus in a negative thought. Sometimes not inform us in a good way to improve ourselves. To mention these papers, like these papers, most of the times they focus in entertainment and witches, all those stories, not inform us to give things to izinto sosenza ukuthi sikwazi ukuqhubela nempilo zethu to moving forward with our life. But sometimes if you uthenga iphepha, nothing you can miss. because you ask, okay, in the front page, sometimes now you seen the stories, okay? Campbell was watching soccer on the television, the team won, but you get that in the front page, which is wrong. Media fail us to give some unknown stories. Most of journalism are not good thinkers. I don't know what can I say, because fail to do their research. Sometimes they told you a story because they you didn't respond. It don't have an effect. It's their opinion or peace. Thank you so much.